Joined at this time by head coach Charles Huff of the Marshall Thundering Herd, defensive lineman Michael Green, and center Logan Osburn. Coach, if you would, please give us an opening statement.
Yeah, obviously excited and very appreciative of this opportunity. Appreciative of the Sun Belt Conference for putting on this event in a first-class manner. Hats off to ULL, Coach D and his staff and his players for an unbelievable season. Obviously, there's another game to be played, but when you look back over this season from a Marshall football perspective, we couldn't have painted it any other way. A tremendous amount of commitment, buy-in by our players, by our coaches, by our staff. Obviously, in this new college football world, you get new faces on your team every year, and the challenge of getting that team to connect and blend together in a short period of time is a challenge. Hats off to the players for buying into our process. Hats off to the staff for working tirelessly to prepare our players to go out each weekend and execute. We are here today because of the players' efforts, because of their players' performances. Obviously got two of the best players in the country, in my opinion, respectively, who have done a great job not only on the field but influencing the locker room, influencing our community, influencing our football team. Still a lot of work to be done. Tomorrow is a very important game. No different than the first game we played, no different than 2 games ago, but an opportunity for the country to see how far we've come as a program, how far we've come as players. So really excited, appreciative. That'll open up the questions.
We'll now take questions for the student athletes. Again, if you have a question, please raise your hand and I'll bring a microphone to you. Please give us your name and affiliation.
Creasy, HD Media in Huntington. Guys, good to see you again. Obviously the all-conference awards come out yesterday, and both of you guys were listed on there. I know, with what Coach Huff says all the time, with team success comes individual success. But if you could just reflect on your accomplishments this year individually. Obviously, Mike, from being named Player of the Year, that's for a defensive player, kind of rare. Just have you taken a second to look at that and realize what you accomplished?
Yeah, for sure. I know in the beginning of the year they have like these preseason where they think you're going to be first, second, and third. I was third in the preseason. I was 13 in the preseason, and I kind of just had like that chip on my shoulder and just kept my head down and just keep on doing what I was doing good at. And I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to be Sun Belt Player of the Year, and I'm just continue to work and just continue to get better at being a football player and also a man. So.
And Logan, for you, I mean, you were one of those that was listed on the preseason, but to live up to that, what does that mean to you to do that in what's going to be your last year?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get recognized for your performance, it's great. But at the end of the day, that wasn't one of my goals I listed down before the season. I only had one goal, and that's this championship. So I've just been kind of laser focused on that, trying to get our team ready. So I think we're excited, ready to go.
For both of you, how has this week been as far as from a focus perspective, just being able to eliminate any outside noise and focus on the task at hand?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a challenge, simply because of you want to feel the vibe of your team. You want to make sure that everybody's not taking this championship game too highly, and you also want to make sure that everybody's not just thinking that this is just some regular game. So I think this week we prepared good for this game, and I think everybody just did a good job of just continue to go out there and practice the way that we've been practicing all year. And I think that's been helping us thus this far, and I just feel like we're in a very good spot right now.
Logan, Chandler Fields was in here earlier talking about he remembered what losing a championship felt like. Do you remember anything from that 2020 season? And can you kind of take me back to that point and kind of those feelings after that game?
Yeah, after we lost in 2020, I mean, it's just utter disappointment, I think, is just something you work for all year. You know, you never break it down to making the championship. You break it down to winning the championship. And when you go so far and you don't reach that goal, it takes a piece out of you. So I know that taste. I know that feeling. And, I'm trying to do everything I can not to relive that moment.
Mike, to be a part of a team that's helped get back to this point. You hear the phrase all the time at Marshall, we play for championships, but to be a part of that, to help get them back to that, what's that mean for you, and kind of encapsulating your journey to Marshall and then obviously now?
Yeah, I think this team has came a long way simply because of we kind of got guys from everywhere around the United States, and you have all these different guys that brings their own identity and their own culture to our team. So we had to do a good job of making sure that everybody's striving for the same goal, and that's to win a championship here at Marshall. And I just feel like a lot of the guys that's on our team just did a good job of focusing on the main goal. And I think just that just kind of shows you the type of team that we have and the type of guys that we have. We're just able to continue doing what we're good at and making sure that we're weeding out all the bad things. So just hats off to all the players, staffs, and coaches simply because of how far we came so far.
Any other questions for our student athletes? If not, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Logan. We appreciate it. We can. You're free to go do whatever Coach says you can go and do.
Take them back. Sorry.
Thanks, guys. Good luck to you tomorrow. We'll now take questions for Coach Huff.
Kevin Foote, Acadiana Advocate. Well, Coach, neither UL or y'all were picked to win and be here. You know what y'all did to get here. I'm sure even though y'all didn't play, you kind of noticed the Cajuns from afar and then saw them on film this week. Like, what do you see about this team that you think allowed them to get here?
Yeah, one, they're well coached. I think Coach D has done a great job of establishing a culture. And, you talk about, the culture that you want to have on your team. When you watch them play, you can see it. They play complementary football. They do things that championship teams do. They don't turn it over. They take care of the ball. They run the ball efficiently. They have a pass game that complements the run game. Defensively, they don't give up a lot of big plays. They get turnovers. Special teams-wise, they're a threat. And when you look at them, there's not a lot of deficiencies. Typically when you look at a championship team, they're solid across the board. Obviously, there's always areas you'd love to improve on your own team, and I'm sure Coach D's got a list of things that he wish we were better at, all of those things. But their O-line is big and physical. Their D-line knocks people back. Their linebacker, number 8, does a really good job, assuming he's a leader for them on the defense as far as his playmaking ability. They got good length in the back end, So there's not a lot of, when you watch the film, you don't say, okay, hey, if we attack this unit or this, position, we're going to have success. It's going to take collective effort, to beat a championship team. I told the team on Monday, there's no bad teams in championships. So you don't get that draw. There's no bad sides of the ball in championship. And when you look at ULL holistically, they're really good.
Do you see a lot of similarities between these teams? I mean, just watching on film, it seemed like there's a lot of things y'all both do well at the same.
Yeah, we're both in Louisiana and gonna play. I think, and obviously I don't know their story, but you look at where we were last year, where they were last year. When the year finished, I'm sure obviously we didn't finish the way we wanted to. I'm sure they could say the same. I don't know where they were picked preseason and all of those things, but when you look at their season as a whole, it looked like they just kept getting better, and that's kind of what we did. We just kept kind of getting better. Certain positions started to get better. I think one of the big things is probably at this level they've stayed healthy. Your best players have stayed in the game. That always gives you a chance. I think, again, they've also had players step up, and that's what you have to have, to make it to week 15 or whatever it is. You got to have guys step up in different roles. It looks like they've done a really good job, similar to us, of adapting to what their players do well. And you can kind of tell, obviously they've had a quarterback change, but they're still running their systems, what, they do well. So I think it goes back to, when you have a coach that's able to set a culture and a foundation, even when the course may change, you're able to continue to move forward.
Coach Jay Walker with Louisiana Radio. At the beginning of your last statement, you talked about that they were a team that looks to run the football first and can complement that with a good passing game, and they don't turn the football over, and they get a lot of turnovers. Were you talking about the Cajuns or your team? Because the two teams, when you get right down to it, are very, very similar in what they want to do and what they've been able to do, especially when it comes to turning the other team over.
Yeah, I think obviously that's the, defining factor in most wins, turning the ball over or not turning it over. They do a great job of turning it over and not turning it over. When you're able to run the ball, you're able to control the game because you don't put yourself in third and long situations. You don't put yourself behind the sticks. You're able to stay on track. Every offense in the country is really good when they're on track. Your issues show up when you get 1st and 20, 2nd and long, 3rd and long. The rate of success when you're off track goes down for anyone. They've been able to do that. Obviously, when you get turnovers, you're minimizing the opportunity for the other team to stay on track. We've had a lot of success doing that. Ours has probably been a little different because our quarterback had kind of grown into, he's grown as the season's gone on. I think they probably had a little bit of an advantage with bringing Ben back. They kind of knew what they were getting. Ours was a little bit more as the season went on. Braylon developed, our offense developed. Our defense was able to complement that. Both teams have done a really good job of minimizing explosive plays. And I think that's the formula for winning. And you look at the records, and the records are similar because the product is similar, And again, I think it's very difficult in today's game to have that kind of rhythm because of all the things that go into it. You get a quarterback in your program who does well, maybe he transfers out, you start over. You get some players in your program who are maturing and developing, they get injured. Now you're playing a guy who may not be ready. So I think both groups, I can't speak for ULL, but for me especially, on our side of the ball, we've been able to navigate all of the change successfully.
Think back to the 2022 Myrtle Beach Bowl, and after that win, that was you were a little bit emotional when you said that was the first group of champions you ever coached. To lead this group to an East Division championship, to get here, what has that meant to you as a coach personally?
The process works. 10 years ago, the process was probably a 3-year window. And you put your plan in, and the third year you kind of see it take off. I think now, especially at this level, at the level we're at, it's probably a 4 or 5 year window, just because of the change. We're going to lose more guys. Steve Sarkisian and I are really good friends. They lose 3 or 4 key players. We lose 8 or 9. And it's a bigger hit because our next guys up are a little bit farther away from a development perspective. So I think it takes a little longer for the process to work. When you're able to get to this point, it's validation that the process works. I told the team that there's 7 games this weekend. There was 130 some odd teams who started out a journey to get to this weekend. So for us to be one of the 14 that have gotten to this weekend, that means our process works. That means our plan works. That means our development works. That means how we invest our time and resources works. Now we've got to go out and actually get over the hump. We've got to get to the point to where we can win a championship. I think it's 10 times harder to do in today's game than it would have been 10 years ago. No disrespect to it was hard then, but just because of the new navigation that you have to go through, we don't have 20 years of a case study on how to manage the new college landscape, if that makes sense. Coach Saban had 40 some odd years of how to manage the old way, if we want to say it that way. This is extremely new. I mean, we're really talking, a 3-year sample size, and there's a lot of change that's still going on. I'm probably 3 or 4 years ahead experience-wise just because of what we've gone through. Not necessarily that I'm a great coach, but you got to think about it. I started this deal. My first team meeting was in the middle of COVID. So we were in the indoor, spread out all 100 yards, and I'm yelling at the guys. We started building a team for Conference USA. We made a conference switch. So now we have to start to rebuild, to be competitive in the Sun Belt, which I agree is the top, Autonomy 5 league out there, G5 league out there, hands down. When you look at the parity across the board, the first year we got into this conference, 6 teams made bowl games. The third year, 12 teams made bowl games. So you want to talk about the parity from top to bottom. Then our third year, we introduced this thing called the transfer portal and NIL. Now we're, dancing with the thought process of revenue sharing. So it's consistently changing. So for us to be able to get to this point with our plan, with our process, it means the process works. Now it has to be adjusted because there's going to come a change here in the next, 6 or 7 months. But I think when you look at what we've been able to do in the midst of the change, you really have to tip your hat to the players. Obviously, ULL has done the same. For the players, adults are the ones who struggle with change, right? Because we've been our way for 40 plus whatever years. The kids kind of do whatever you tell them. You just hope what you tell them is the right thing. And that's what our guys have really bought into. Everything we've asked them to do, from the summer to the winter to spring to the season to summer camp, in the midst of a season, managing all of the optics that come with that. I talked to the team, what do you think Mike Green's inbox looks like from NFL suitors and agents and all of those things? And for him to be able to come to work every day and still is humble, still is focused, still working to improve, that's a task. And you multiply that by, 105 guys. So it's definitely humbling. But it's also confirmation that we have a good process.
Hey, Coach, Matt Miguez from ESPN here in Lafayette. AJ Turner is a guy that's been banged up for parts of the year. Where is he at from a health standpoint, and what does he provide to your offensive game plan tomorrow night?
Yeah, obviously he's had a phenomenal year for us. As of yesterday's practice, he was good to go. Now, that was a process to get him ready for Saturday. We'll evaluate him on Saturday. He brings the explosive play capability to our offense. And we talked about, the 2 things that really determine is turnovers and explosive plays. Some of those explosive plays are designed. You can design an explosive play. Some of them are created. Some of AJ's best plays were just, base day one runs that, him and the O-line, the quarterbacks and the receivers did a good job of executing, and then his God-given ability allowed it to be an explosive play. Having him is a big piece of what we do. So if any of you guys believe in the good Lord, if you say a prayer for A.J. Turner, even if you want ULL to win, I think it'll be good for the Sun Belt to see the best players on both sides go out and battle. So we expect to have him. Obviously he's got a few more hours to kind of get to the game and make a decision. I'm always in the belief of you give the players a chance to play, but ultimately that's somebody's child, so we have to be respectful of the ultimate goal, which is health and safety. But we're anticipating a good pregame warm up from him, and we'll be able to tell once we get started.
Coach Huff, we appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Good luck to you tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks to the Sun Belt. I've been blessed enough to be in some other leagues, Big Ten, SEC, MAC. This is put on and presented in a first-class manner. This is put on and presented the right way. The entire year has been led the right way from the Sun Belt Conference, and this is the reason we are a premier conference in the country. When we talk to recruits and parents and other people, they recognize the brand of the Sun Belt. So we're appreciative to be a part of it. We're appreciative to be a part of this game. Hats off to ULL, and hope to be having a conversation with you guys afterwards, soaking wet from the celebration bucket dump. I'm already expecting it, so I'm going to be dodging it if it comes. But, again, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Go Herd.